Now, I'm going to talk about what SCP means, but first, I want to speak on just a few things, okay? And I know it has been difficult to break free from the certain lifestyle that you have been living. You know, the lifestyle of being isolated, building a world around you. You know, you was using those for your coping skills. But what you have to understand is that eventually you're going to have to deal with the realities of life. And I know myself how difficult that it can be, because I lived in a fairy tale world. I'm going to say a world that I built around me to protect me, because it was hard for me to deal with my emotions. It was very hard. You know, I was drawn back from being vulnerable. I didn't know how to be vulnerable. And it is because of some traumatic things that I had to deal with as coming up as a child and also in my adulthood. Okay. So it is difficult coming from one lifestyle, trying to walk into another lifestyle. It was difficult for me, you know, and I'm going to tell you why it was difficult for me. Because number one, I made it a lifestyle. It was my way of living. It was my way of coping. And I did it for so long. I was in a repetition of it for so long that it actually became a lifestyle. It became a lifestyle. It became my way of life. But what I did not know is the repercussions of it down the line. Down the line. I did not know the repercussions of it down the line, okay? But I do know this from experience, and I would always study so that I can have the right terminologies, okay? So I learned this from experience and from studying and from being knowledgeable. You have a subconscious mind and you have a conscious mind, okay? Your conscious mind is a mind that it can only hold one thought at a time. One thought at a time. One thought at a time. But your subconscious mind can hold many thoughts at a time. Many thoughts. It holds every emotion that you ever felt, everything that you ever thought, every place that you've ever been, every memory. Your subconscious mind holds those things. Okay? Every skill, every experience. I want you to know this. It holds every thought that you have ever thought and every emotion. So therefore, I'm saying that to say this. Everything that you have done in your life is held in your subconscious mind. It's held there. So what you feed your subconscious mind makes a total difference in your lifestyle, your way of living. See, I fed my subconscious mind to live isolated, not being able to trust, to live in fear. This is what my subconscious mind was taught. And how it was taught that was because these were acts of repetition. These were things that I was constantly doing. So automatically, when I wake up, I automatically lived in that certain lifestyle because it was a repetition. It was a way of life. It was a way of life. So I was living that way for a long time. So long that, like I said again, it became a lifestyle. Okay. So in order for you to walk out of that lifestyle and into another lifestyle, you're going to have to retrain yourself. You're going to have to retrain your subconscious mind. You're going to have to retrain it because it's been taught this way of life for many years. Actually, for me, it's been over 40 decades. 40 decades. Because it started young, trauma, young. 40 decades. I held on to this trauma. And I held on to this way of life. I held on to this way of coping with the trauma. Okay. I did. And let me tell you something. Just as you live a life with the inability to be vulnerable, a life of fear, a life of isolation, you can also live a life of vulnerability, taking chances in life, and being in the now, living in the now, living in the moment and accepting reality. It was hard for me to live in the moment and live in the now. It was hard for me. It was hard for me. Because I was emotionless to a lot of things. I didn't want to deal with my emotions. So when I got emotional about things or certain things happened in my life, I just drew back. I went into isolation. I built a world around me, a different world. I mean, I took my mind to a total different world. And that was my happy space. It was. But then when it came time for me to deal with reality, that is where the issue came in. That is where the issue came in. So we're going to talk about SCP. Living in the now can be accomplished. How? With SCP. And that's strategy, commitment, and persistence. Strategy, commitment, and persistent. These are three vital that you have to commit yourself to if you want to change your way of living. If you want to deal with these issues that you are dealing with. Again, commitment, strategy, commitment, and persistent. First, you have to learn strategies. Next, you have to be committed. Then you have to be persistent. You have to learn strategies. Then you got to be committed to those strategies. Then you got to be persistent in your commitment and in your strategies. Now, first is strategize. You got to learn different strategies. You know, you have to see what works for you. Okay? You have to learn different strategies. You have to try certain things, to see what works for you. Okay? So I'm going to tell you what worked for me. I would tell myself, I would look in the mirror and I would tell myself, I am going to deal with my emotions today. I will not run today. I am going to be vulnerable today. I will not fear. I will not be in fear of my emotions. I will face my emotions today. I will live in the now today. I will live in the now today. And I would tell myself that repeatedly. It was like a repetition. I had to retrain my mind. So I would consistently say it over and over and over every day, every day, every day, every day. And then I would think of things that like happened to me in my childhood that would make me a little angry sometimes. I would let the emotions build up and build up and build up and build up and build up. And I would say to myself, I would go in the mirror, I will deal with this emotion. I will not run. I will not hide. I will not isolate myself. I will be vulnerable. I will feel this emotion. And I would do that persistently. I mean, constantly. I would do it over and over and over. That was a strategy that I would use. Even during the daytime when I felt certain ways. And immediately when I felt like I wanted to go into isolation, I would go in the mirror and I would say, I will not isolate myself today. I will live in the now and I will face my emotion. I will face it. I will be vulnerable today. And it is okay to be vulnerable. It is okay to feel emotions. It is okay. I will not fear my emotions today. And I would do that over and over and over and over and over until I started to retrain my thoughts. And as I began to retrain my thoughts, my actions began to change towards my emotions, towards my feelings. So you got to learn different strategies. You know, I would even do exercises. I would even tell someone to say something to me that makes me angry or mad. Just say something to me that would upset me. Let's say not angry, but that would upset me. Or something that made me happy, joyful. Any emotion. And as they were saying those things to me, I would say in my mind, I'm going to feel this emotion. I will not isolate myself. I will not run. I will not fear. And I will not withdraw myself. I'm going to deal with this emotion that I am feeling. I'm going to deal with it. I'm going to deal with it. And I allowed the emotions to run through me. And not stop the emotions. Because see, when you stop it, your emotions pile up and they pile up and they pile up and they pile up and they pile up. And eventually, let me tell you, it's just like a pot with hot water in it. And you have that top on there. And there's steam in the top pot. And it keeps steaming and it keeps steaming and it keeps steaming. And it steams so much. I don't know if this ever happened to you, but it has happened to me. And the top just flew off because of the pressure of the pot. And that's what happens when you hold those emotions in. Eventually. And that can happen. So that's another thing of why it's important to learn to deal with your emotions and deal with your feelings. It's so important. Because after you've lived drawn away from reality for so long, and now you have to live in the now and accept the reality, it can be scary and difficult. Because it was scary and difficult for me. It was. But I learned strategies to deal with it. I learned different strategies to deal with it. It was important to learn strategies to deal with that thing. It is so important to learn certain strategies. You must accept the sentiment of each and every one of your emotions. You must. That is the strategy, to accept it. To just accept it. It's there. That's what emotions are there for us to go through emotions, for us to go through it, for us to feel it. That's what it's there for, and it's okay. It's okay. It is okay. In the moment I learned strategies, the more and more I became free to feel, to be vulnerable, to live in the now, to live in the moment, to be here now. My mental became more healthier. Okay? And number 2 is commitment. We have to be committed to our strategies. But first you have to have something to be committed to. So therefore, be committed to your strategies. Be committed to being healed from this toxic way of living, because it is toxic. It is. It is very toxic. And it is very vital when it comes to wanting to change, certain ways, wanting to change this lifestyle, because it has become a lifestyle. The commitment is a key. It is really a key to stand the course. Your commitment is something that you should be committed to. It is very important. It is very important to stay committed to your strategies. Stay committed to the goal. Stay committed to it. It will not fail you. It will not fail you. Stay committed. Stay committed. Then we have persistence. Stay persistent in your commitment and your strategies. That means continually stay in the process. No matter how long, no matter how difficult, stay in the process. Continue to keep pushing yourself so that you can reach your goals. Whatever you want to accomplish, if you are not persistent, I am telling you, if you are not persistent, your goals will not be met. You have to know that quitting is not an option. Quitting is not an option. Quitting is not an option. You must stay committed. You must stay persistent. You must use your exercises to change your mindset, because once you change your thought process, then your actions will change. So it is so important to learn different strategies that will help you. It's so important. So vital. SCP is so vital. These are the 3 components. 3 components. You have one single thing, and that one thing have different components. So this is your goal, to be healed from this toxic way of life. And your components are commitment, strategy, commitment, and persistent. Keep those things. Keep those components. Keep those components connected. If you want to live a different lifestyle, and not the lifestyle that you have been living in isolation, drawn back, not having the ability to be vulnerable, then use these 3 keys. Use these 3 keys. Stay the course. Stay the course. Stay persistent. Stay the course. Stay the course. Strategize. Whatever you have to do, strategize. Find different strategies. Whatever works for you. Stay committed. Stay committed to your goals. Stay committed to your change. Stay committed to it. I am here today to tell you, if you stay committed to your strategies, if you stay persistent to your committed in your strategies, your life will change. Your life will change. I cried when I was able to deal with my emotions, because I've never been able to deal with I've never been able to be vulnerable. And it cost me a lot in life. Oh, it did. It cost me relationships. It cost me my sanity sometimes. Strategize. Stay committed. And stay persistent. Strategize. Stay committed. And stay persistent. Strategize. Stay committed. And stay persistent.